What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bluegrass State of Mind, the show where three college roommates talk life, sports, and all the ridiculous things that happen in an apartment we like to refer to as Room 302. We're bringing you stories, hot takes, and the kind of late-night debates that probably should have stayed in the group chat.
So grab your headphones, sit back, and get ready for a wild ride through our past college life, sports, and everything in between. Let's get into it. This is Bluegrass State of Mind.
What up, guys? This is another episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. We're starting off with some sad news tonight. Here at Bluegrass State of Mind, we are proud Kentucky fans. And one of our fellow Kentuckians has moved on. And this one stings a little bit more. The reason why that it stings more, as many of you all know, is Mr. Vince Morrow, who was a part of this Kentucky team since 2013 as a tight ends coach or associate head coach, has went to our crosstown rival, Down, Louisville. He is joining the University of Louisville's football team as the general manager, and in this position, he'll oversee the roster management, the transfer portal, and the NIL. Guys, from everything that I had found and looked up and kind of read on, it just seems like Stoops and Marrow were kind of, I guess, had a falling out. We're not on the best of terms. Couldn't agree on some things. And then also, I read a lot. I didn't know this, but Jeff Brom, Louisville's head coach, and Marrow are pretty tight. From everything I've looked at, they played some football together in the XFL. And then also, this is not the first time that Jeff Brom has reached out to Vince. I didn't know that, but I didn't know the XFL thing. So I want to elaborate more and talk a little bit about Vince Morrow, what he means to this Kentucky team, but I also want you all to give your initial thoughts and kind of talk about that as well. So, Colton, what does Vince Morrow mean to Kentucky football? What has he meant? Why is this just a really big loss for our program? And what do we do from here? I mean, this is not just any coach that you can say that didn't matter to a program and just pick up another guy and he'll come right in and fit in. I mean, what does Vince Morrow mean?
Yeah, to me, he's like been the one bright spot, right? That everyone was just constantly like, people had their ups and downs with Stoops, right? Like it was you weren't a fan early, then you become a big fan because we started to gain some ground. The last few years, it kind of went back and forth, and then all of a sudden, but through that whole time, the one steady one that everyone just always cherished and felt like he always was doing his part was Vince Morrow. All right, whether it was the recruiting trail, right? Like we felt like any pretty decent recruit we were getting is because of him. He played it, and all of a sudden he was getting guys that like these SEC caliber guys that Kentucky didn't used to get in the past. He was bringing them in, and he and the players loved him, right? He's one of those two. Also, the players just loved playing with him and him coaching them. And Big Blue Nation loved him because he would go on the Kentucky Sports Radio. He would give them an insight. He would be the one that's positive. Where other times, Stoops was taking the heat. He was trying to calm things down. I mean, he just meant a lot to the program, and it's going to be tough because people are running out of patience with Stoops, and Morrow was one things that was kind of keeping him around. I feel like people having patience with Stoops, they're like, oh, they're kind of a duo. They come together. And now one's gone and the favorite one's gone. It could be it could get dicey in the season.
Anytime I think of Vince Morrow, though, I know you all know what I'm about to say, but every time it's like game day or something hype happens, you see that little meme of Vince Morrow in the locker room eating a bag of chips and just sitting there and just banging to music, like so locked in. Like that's gone now. Like he was a player's coach. He was talking about his connection with the players. I was reading something, it may have been KSR that actually posted. I don't know what I was reading it from, but they were talking about how the constant in all this, like you said, has been Vince Morrow. These kids love Vince Morrow. He was always their go-to guy. And it went on to say, whether it be a parking ticket or something silly as of that nature, like they went to him for that, or whether it be playing time or just school life. Like he was that guy. So I mean, Mason, what are your thoughts on it? I
No,
mean,
I mean,
Colton really didn't talk a lot about. I mean, he touched a little bit about recruiting, but I mean, like that's a huge blow.
yeah, no, I agree with everything y'all said. Like Colton said, he's the main reason we've got any of these good recruits, the last few years. He's the guy who's going out and winning over these recruits, and he's known for kind of tackling Ohio, right? He's really big in Ohio and being able to get recruits out of there. And I mean, honestly, it's a huge loss for the program. We've said he's kind of been the favorite. Him and Stoops. I think it's dumb on our part for letting him walk. I think you got to do anything you can to keep him. And at this point, I don't necessarily think I can blame you for leaving. Based on some of the stuff I've read, basically some of his abilities, recruiting abilities, the input he had, some of those things have kind of been taken away from him, which is ridiculous to me. I mean, what are we doing? He's kind of been, like you said, Colton, he's kind of been the life of this program over the last couple of years. We've had a couple years, the last 2 or 3 years, where we've had some expectations and have not exceeded or met those expectations. But he's kind of been the thing that's kept everybody together, and everybody's a huge fan of him, and I can't blame him at all. I've seen people, be mad at him and, hope he never wins. And, you heard the thing on KSR about somebody flipping him off. And, I don't feel that way towards him. I honestly do not blame him. I like Vince Morrow, and I think this program should have done everything they could to keep him happy. And they didn't do it. So I think at this point, it's going to be this year's going to be awful. I have no expectations. But I think after this year, it's going to be full rebuild mode. I think this is Stoops' last year, unless he comes out and does something miraculous. But I think after this year, we're going to be in full rebuild mode. And I hope we go out and get Summerall. But we'll see what happens. I just wish they would have done everything they could. And it blows my mind that they didn't do everything they could to keep him and did all these things to make him mad and even want this opportunity.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? I mean, it's very similar in a lot of ways. Not when it comes down to it on the position wise, but y'all know what I'm thinking of. Like, this reminds me of Kenny Payne.
Yeah,
The whole Kenny Payne scenario, because Kenny Payne was that guy. Like you saw the sideline, the player. He was the player's guy, the guy that would always go to the press conferences when Cal wouldn't go. He always would talk to people, and the kids, they loved him. And then he goes to Louisville. Now, he didn't have success at Louisville. Again, this is going to be a different scenario. Vince Morrow's not going to be. Yeah, he's going to be the general manager. I don't know that Vince Morrow would be a great head coach. I don't know if that's kind of his forte. But, I mean, like.
He's that guy you need.
I mean, like that. But again, though, I'm sitting here thinking, like, there's got to be something missing. Like, how is Louisville getting these guys from us? Like, a crosstown rival. Like, obviously, yeah, we're in state, and maybe they don't want to go searching, and there's connections. But, like, how did Louisville pull this off? I mean, there has to be more than. I mean, have you all seen anything about money?
I do know that in the last year and a half, the donors for Louisville, just like you say in the basketball team, all of a sudden get these guys in. The donors have kind of woke up a little bit because they were in such a downfall, and now they're all of a sudden putting in this money. I'll be honest with you. I think the conferences has something to do with it. I think he looks at UK and think we're on a road to nowhere, right? Like as long as Texas, Georgia, all these teams are in it,
very true.
There is none. Like our best case scenario is they expand the college football playoff to 16 or 20 teams and we maybe sneak in. Like that's our ceiling as Kentucky football. Well, Louisville and the ACC, I mean, look, you have a good year and it's essentially between you and Clemson maybe, right? And both of you may get in, or you, Clemson, Miami maybe, right? Like, I mean, there's only 3 or 4 teams and you're like, if you can just be one of those top 4 teams, and Louisville has that chance to do that.
They're going to be good this year.
But given the ACC, you can come in there. Like, you can make a college football playoff at Louisville. You got a higher chance of making it at Louisville than you do Kentucky now, and that's just because of the conferences. So, I mean, Louisville's trajectory is up. I mean, I don't know that they're never going to be SEC good, but they're going to get more opportunities to make the big dance, as a football team. And, now he gets to kind of ride, he gets to kind of controlled the ship a little bit, and it's hard to blame him because Kentucky's just not going to be on that level.
That's just depressing to hear, though. I mean, like, for real. Like, I mean, like, you
It
sitting there
is.
saying, like, that's that's the reality. I mean, we're not trying to get into
Look,
too much football talk, but I mean, like, that
yeah.
is the reality as a Kentucky football fan. Like,
Oh yeah,
there's
being a Kentucky football fan is very tough, knowing that there is zero chance of a national title.
On a side note, though, I think this bodes well for basketball. I don't think there's gonna be a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
NIL money being pumped into football now. I know there wasn't, but there's
no.
probably gonna be less now for sure.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
more of that's gonna go to the basketball program. So, well, I mean, it's good for the basketball program. But
I
like
don't
I
really
said,
even know who we have on the football team this time. I know we got that. I know we got the quarterback from he was at Texas A&M. They went to Incarnate Word, the Kazada guy,
yeah,
or Zach Kazada. I think he's going to be our
yeah,
quarterback. Although I was kind of excited to see Cutter Bowley, as a
yeah,
sophomore.
yeah.
I just wanted to kind of see him take the reins and just let him. I mean, we're going to struggle anyhow,
He
but
he probably will next year.
right,
Like I
yeah.
said,
Well,
it's gonna
now
be
he'll
full
probably
rebuild.
transfer now that we're getting ready to look for. He'll probably transfer. But I don't know any guys. Like we lost our receivers. I mean, I don't know who our running backs are
This
half the
makes me
time.
so
I
mad
mean,
at the program. Like,
all I
and
know
so
is that
sad.
after the first week of Toledo, we play Ole Miss, and immediately I'll be depressed for the rest of the season.
Exactly. It makes me depressed and sad because I love
It,
college football so much.
I
Like,
do
I'm so
too.
excited for it, but we're
I
gonna be
know it.
so bad this
You
year,
know how we,
and
you know
I'm
how we sat in the room and we said we drew out the Miami Dolphins
yeah,
as we need to do that for college football. We
yeah,
need to
I
find
agree.
someone else that we
explain
can
what we
just
done though. Explain. You can't just mention
yeah.
it. You got
So obviously me and Dylan are Titans football fans, and this kind of Titans are like the Kentucky football of the NFL.
yeah, it's very
Also,
true.
not gonna win a Super Bowl most likely. And then Mason does come. He is a Packers fan, so he at least has some tradition. But and then Trevor was, I think, like a Chiefs fan, maybe. But Chance is also Titans fan. So we were like, okay, instead of like us rooting for, we all wanted one team to mutually cheer for, and we decided that we were going to draw out a random hat, and we drew out the Miami Dolphins. Now then, Miami picked it up. They got Tyreek Hill. They got,
Yeah, they
you know,
got a
Tua,
they had some times.
Waddle,
I
yeah.
honestly, in all fairness, I'm not positive that we didn't. At that time, we may have actually drew. I do think that the first team we drew out, we didn't like it, so we did it one more time. But I'm pretty positive
Who
it was the
was it? Do you remember?
Lions, and I'm
Oh
real
man,
disappointed.
oh man. Can we switch back to that?
Yeah, so we may have to do that for college football now
Yeah,
because
but we got to
Kentucky.
eliminate some teams, like some teams that we don't
I
want.
mean, literally after week 2, it's going to be over. Done.
I'm hammering the
What?
under on our win total. I
We never
promise
got a
that.
Once
chance.
again, we ain't winning an SEC game. Vandy
No,
smacking us.
no. Our motto
Man,
this year is just
all
gonna
right.
be hand the ball off and try to run the clock out.
Y'all are depressing me more and more. Oh man. All right. Well, let's move on. We are going to be moving into the NBA Finals. Currently, right now, Game 3 is being played at Indiana. Currently, it is a tie ball game in the third quarter with about 8 minutes left. But the first 2 games were played in Oklahoma City, where the Pacers stole Game 1, and then the Thunder handedly won Game 2. Um, Game 1, I don't know if y'all had a chance to watch it, but I watched. This is awful, but I mean, it is what it is. That's what kids is for. Watched the whole game with 2.5 minutes left. I think the Thunder were up 6 or 8-1. My boy starts crying, going crazy. Claire has the other one, so I have to go help him. Didn't think twice about it, really. Then I finally get him to sleep about 30 minutes, come back out, look at my phone, and see that Tyrese Halliburton hit a game winning. And I'm like, great,
All right.
awesome. But throughout that whole game, I mean, the Thunder were in control the entire game. Did not see the Pacers pulling that one out. But then again, the Pacers have done that all this postseason in every single series that they've had against Milwaukee. Then it was before the Knicks. It was who was the Cavaliers, then the Knicks, and now the Thunder. They have done this a game in every series. Here's my question for you all, though. Are we potentially looking at the worst NBA championship team to ever win in your era? I mean, think back of all the teams to win an NBA championship, if the Pacers proceed to win, would you consider this the worst NBA team? I think it's mixed up between them and another team. I'll see if you all mention it.
Probably the Mavs.
I was going to say
Yeah.
Dallas.
Just
That was
because
Dirk was a little old.
wasn't in his prime. If he'd have been in
Yeah.
his prime, and I thought maybe the Raptors, but Kawhi
I was going
there.
to say that, but then I thought about
But-
Kawhi.
Yeah, but
They at least had a superstar with Kawhi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dirk was past his prime was the reason I'd probably say that. And they had, what was it, Jason Kidd? Was
Yeah,
it
they had
Jason
Jason
Kidd?
Kidd.
Like, I mean,
Jason
past his prime. So
Terry.
Jason Terry
Yeah.
past his prime. Like, I mean, they just, J.J. Barea. Like,
What's
they
the dude
just
that
didn't.
shoots like this?
Marion.
Son Marion.
Yeah. So,
the Pacers are not full of super. I mean, you can say, they had two, Pascal Siakam. I think he's a really good NBA player. He's not no superstar like, ooh, ah. And honestly, this may be a hot take. I don't care that Tyrese, and I've actually seen some other people say this, and I agree with them. I don't care that Tyrese Halliburton has hit game-winning shots. He's still not a superstar to me.
No.
He's not.
No.
I mean, you can hit a bunch of shots and still not be a superstar. He's not a superstar. I do think he's overrated still. I do. I think he's a good player, but if you've watched these games, he's really been absent a lot. He's very wishy-washy. But y'all go ahead. What are y'all's thoughts on this series? You can talk a little bit. And then I also want to mention one more thing. I sent this to you all. This is no surprise here. In game one, the viewership was 8.91 million or 8.91 million. And that is the worst since 1988.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
we called that, right? I mean,
Yeah, we did.
I mean, we knew, and that's why we were wanting the big markets. And what it is kind of unfortunate because the Pacers have been exciting to watch. The Thunder's a young and exciting team, but the big markets, right? I mean, especially if you're not into NBA, really. I mean, you definitely even if you're not, it's kind of like
if you are in LA, you are not going to want to turn it to the end. Like we will, because we're like more like around this area. Like we're not, but like, I cannot see many people from Los Angeles turning on the Indiana Pacers game. I just can't.
But I mean, it's kind of like non-golfers with the Masters, right? They're going to watch the Masters still. People who don't watch golf, they watch the Masters. People who don't watch the NBA might watch LeBron. They might watch Steph Curry. They might watch the Knicks. If you're you know what I mean, the New York Knicks all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the situation you're in. But I mean, that's what we thought would happen.
Mason?
Yeah, I'm part of that percentage that hasn't really watched it. I didn't watch any of game one. I was busy. I watched a little bit of game two, but like you mentioned earlier, Dylan, like the Pacers just aren't that good, you know. And
no, I think what it comes down to is I think that honestly, they are making other teams play down to their level.
Yes,
I do.
Absolutely.
I don't think that they're a good. I think they're a good team, not a great team by no means, but I think they are so scrappy and not really. I don't think like just full of great superstars to watch, but they make the other team play down to their level. But continue.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like you said, it's not like they play great clean basketball, you know, like that you'd like to watch, right? They just make the game kind of ugly and try to get the other team, speed the other team up, you know, and I'm just not that interested in this particular finals. Yes, I like SGA, you know, I think the Thunder are a good team, but it's not that entertaining to me. So I'm part of that, you know, low since 1988 or whatever you said, you know, I'm part of that statistic that is not really tuning in, not really locked into this. And if it was, you know, Colton, like you said, if it was the Knicks or if it was LeBron or, you know, somebody like that, I would tune in, but I'm just not that. I don't really care who wins it. You know, I could honestly care less. I hope the Thunder do, but honestly, at the end of the day, I don't care at all.
Something else I want to bring up, and I know this is kind of it don't really matter maybe to a lot of people, but it does in the sense, I think, of just tradition. But I was reading something that basically what it was stating was that, the NBA has lost its mojo. Like, that's basically what it was stating. And what it was saying was, you look at the courts in the NBA Finals, there's nothing different from a regular season game until now. And then what I was looking at was pictures. It had pictures like of the floors, like even in like 2010, 2012, like whenever the Heat were playing, like you saw the Larry O'Brien trophy in the middle. Like it was like a different court for the NBA Finals. Then they also said, like, they mentioned the introductions. Like, when you think of introductions, like I think of the 96 Bulls. Like you hear like, I mean, like, and then even like in the 2000s, 2010s, like they would have a special edition of like the introductions. Like, there's none of that anymore. And they've made a joke on there like, hey, we do more for the in-season tournament than we do the actual championship. They change the courts and do all this, and we're doing more for that than we are the actual championship itself. But man, it's sad because like the NBA, like, it's just not the same. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, in the 2000s, 2010s, like it was rocking and rolling still. I think it still had its
I
flaws,
agree.
but you look at even at 2015 when you had the Cavs Warriors always going at it. Like, I mean, like that was some high quality basketball. Like, and everybody was tuned in, loving it. But in 10 years now, I mean, this is not a knock on these teams, but I mean, you got the Thunder and the Pacers, and the viewership itself speaks volumes. I mean, that's just not getting the job done.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I mean, it is kind of exciting, that one of these franchises is going to win their first championship. I mean, that's cool,
yeah,
right? You don't get that every day, but it's just the Pacers, like you said. I think that's the biggest downfall of this. I think it was somebody other than the Pacers, just because, like we said, they're
they
not
don't
that good of a
have
team.
that superstar. Like, they don't have a
They
Shea. Like, and that
they
also doesn't
don't.
help them.
They don't. They
Now,
just make it ugly. Like you said, I feel like other teams just play down to their level. Don't get me wrong. They play hard and they've come back, several games, but it they just don't play exciting basketball. It's
yeah.
not fun to watch.
All right, well, let's shift gears to I know something we've really been waiting to get into, and that is the United States Open. It is the third major played this year. We're recording this on Wednesday, so by the time you all hear this, the first round will be completed, and then Friday will be the second round playing. But fellas, y'all join in anytime. Pitch in. I know we're gonna be on this topic for a while, but the United States Open. When you think of a U.S. Open, what do you all? I mean, Colton, you've played longer than us, so real quick, just tell us, like, whenever you hear the U.S. Open and I guess in the golf world, what is the first initial thought of U.S. Open?
Yeah, it's toughness. I mean, that's what the U.S. Open's known for. So the Masters, right? It's the most traditional. It's the same course every year. It's the major where they play the same exact course every year. The scenery, the first major of the year, just the tradition part of the Masters. The PGA is just supposed to goes around. It's the players kind of championship. They get the kind of control it. It's something that's middle. It's not going to play the hardest. Not going to play the easiest. The Open's supposed to be rain, wind, link style, like that different style. And the U.S. Open is supposed to be tough. I mean, we're talking about scores that they want to see 4 under or less, right? They want
Yep.
to see a top 5 of someone maybe being overpowered come Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's meant to do. So they talk about long, rough, fast greens, and we'll get into that because I mean that's definitely what they're going to face.
Yep.
But that's definitely your initial thought when you hear the U.S. Open, and they're getting ready to face that.
Oh yeah, and when playing tough, and I know Colton means this as well. Like, not just physically, but mentally. I mean,
Mentally. Oh yeah.
that's what golf is. I mean, like, you want to talk about being alone and being in a place that you feel like you can't get out of. Well, this is what a U.S. Open is supposed to do to you. But anyways, let's move on. The United States Open this week is going to be played at Oakmont Country Club in Pennsylvania. It is 7,400 yards. It's regarded in the golf community as the most difficult in the United States. It features large, extremely fast greens And then, like Colton had already mentioned, the rough is thick. I think I've seen up to 5 to 6 inches of rough this week. And I mean, if you know anything about golf, you've been watching some of these balls going in this rough, and it's just disappearing. Fun fact for you, I don't know if y'all seen this, but they have 90 volunteers just to be spotting balls
I
this week.
guarantee it.
Yeah.
Guarantee it.
Think of it. There's 18 holes, guy. 90 people just to spot balls.
Yeah.
That tells you alone what they're expecting. Also, Oakmont is famous for their hazards, as known as the church pew bunkers. They're beautiful, I think. I would hate to be playing on them, but it's pretty cool. And then I did not know this, and then I'll give it over to you all. There is 175 bunkers at Oakmont.
Wow.
I'd find 170 of them.
I'd quit after about 8 holes.
Yeah, I'd run out of golf balls.
Yeah.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Well, and then one more thing, and then I'm gonna hand over to Mason. I did find this as well. This was pretty cool. I thought there have been 9 U.S. Opens played at Oakmont prior to this year, according to the USGA. 1,385 players have completed in those Opens. Of that number, a mere 28, which is just 2%, have finished the week under par.
Ridiculous.
Now we're talking about the best players in the world, fellas. Mason,
awful.
What's your initial thoughts on this United States Open?
It's literally averaging. How'd you say 9? There were 9 U.S. Opens played here.
9 U.S. Opens,
That's literally averaging 3 people
1,300.
every tournament. Under par.
That's crazy.
Mason, first off, what would you do at Oakmont? And then talk about it this week. I want to hear what you, and don't be playing around. Be serious. Like, what do you truly think you would do at Oakmont from the back tees where these guys are playing?
Listen, tournament condition, like in a tournament, right? So what's the limit on balls you can have in a tournament? 12?
12.
I'm not making it through hole 5, probably.
Okay, in all fairness,
yeah,
there's
no
not water. There's not like you would lose your balls in the rough.
Do I have spotters?
Yeah.
Okay. Tournament conditions. So the losing the ball is not necessarily the
no.
fear.
Okay. So what do I shoot here?
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if I break 150.
I was gonna say,
I don't.
Because even if I just took something,
if you took me and somebody done, if you took a 6 on every hole, you would be at 108. And I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna take a lot more than a 6.
Oh, yeah.
I am too. We're gonna be up there, Mason.
Oh, absolutely.
Colton, you are too. Don't be shaking.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I don't think I break 150. Like, even if I just took, try to take a 7-iron, just hit it, fairway. Like, the greens are glass. Like, I don't know if y'all seen some of these videos and like from this week where they've been out there practicing. Like, I mean, Rory had a greenside bunker shot and he landed it. I mean, it was a perfect shot. He probably had, I don't know, 8 foot between the bunker and the pin. He landed it just over the fringe. Probably still had 6 foot to the hole. Perfect. Had a lot of loft under it. Landed right on the green. I mean, it rolled 8 foot by. I was like, my goodness, that is. And you could tell he had so much spin on it. It tried and it just was not doing it. So
yeah,
I don't think I break 150. I really don't. I would love to try it. I don't know if y'all saw JT's. Post. I think that would be really awesome to see. Like an 18 handicap, 10 handicap, and a 5 handicap, or whatever he said. Go out there Monday after and play it and see what they shoot. I think that would be awesome, and I would watch it. I definitely
volunteer as tribute.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll be the 18. You be the 10. Colton can be the 5. Let's go.
I mean, my goal would be to try to break 120. I would if I said a go at 120, I'd say if I could play it to do that only. I'll try to play my best. I mean, hey. All right, I'm in this rough, so let me hit this pitching wedge over here 30
Straight
yards.
Out.
Yeah. If I did it like that, I could. I mean, I would just have to strategically, purposely lay up on these par 4s like a lot of
What
times
about the 290-yard par three? What are you
oh
doing?
yeah.
Yeah, well, let's get into that though. All right, go ahead and what about this par three? Talk to us about the par three
I
eighth. What
mean,
are we
just
looking at?
crazy, right? I mean, you're talking about, 209, what is, right at 290, I think it's
289.
289.
Just right at
Yeah, 290. I mean, look, these guys, if you add any wind into your face, you're looking at a 300-yard par three. These guys, you're going to see so many drivers hit. Just so many, depending on the wind. And look, I don't know. There might be tees. They might not have a different plan. Like it might be 289, but then one day it might be playing 220 or something like
Right.
that. They're going to mix it up some. But now you actually get a back tee one day, and all of a sudden the wind's into you, and then it turns into like 310 or something. It's just going to be crazy. But now, also, some of these guys are so good. Like you see several par fours out on the tour where like they make them drivable par four, especially the TPCs that they play. There's always supposed to be one drivable par four pretty much on all TPC courses, and they're just so accurate even with their driver, like trying to land it on the green. So it's just gonna be one of those holes that if someone walks away with 4 pars on the week, they've probably gained 2 shots at least on the whole field.
The thing is, though, with it being
Yeah.
that long and how the greens are, it's probably not going to hold the greens.
No,
Yeah.
no. They're just. It's going to be. That's wild. To just 200. Yeah.
Like,
No. I'm taking a 5
I
at
think
least.
the thing that's gonna I don't think that I quite understand it, and I get it, but I guess hopefully when I watch it I'll get it truly. Is I was watching Scotty talk about in his press, he was talking about all the different majors, and like what each one it signifies and how you play and how it's different. And basically what he's saying, like, Augusta, he said, by no means is an easy course. Like it's top five. Like he's saying, but here's the thing: at Augusta, if you uh, leave a pitch short or if you pitch it long, like although you're dealing with these slopes, you have a lot of different ways you can hit a shot. You can put it up the hill. You can hit a little bump and run. You could fly and maybe like land it soft. He said, "Here's the thing here at Oakmont: if you go long, or if you miss left or right, you're in thick stuff everywhere, and you've got to hit the same shot the same way. Like you've got to you've just got to get it out of that." And I think that's kind of what's I'm looking forward to seeing, like how these guys, like there's going to be a lot of guys struggle, and like it's going to get to them mentally, because you're going to see, uh, like I think of the Ben Griffin at the Memorial, like where he's in that thick stuff and he tries to play a flop shot and it goes in front of him like what, 4 or 5 yards. Like that's going to happen multiple times. And I think what is going to challenge these players is how you bounce back off that, because sometimes you just got to, like at a U.S. Open, you got to take your medicine and walk away with a bogey or a double bogey. It is what it is.
Well, you're just going
Uh,
to see so many guys have to sit there and try to make 12 to 15 foot par putts. Like they're like that's what they're shooting for. Like to have a 12 or 15 footer and try to make it. Did you said Ben Griffin? Did you see where they interviewed him on a podcast and he was like, if you was to give it, like he was like, what do you? They were like, what do you think? Like it's going to take to win it? And he said,
4 over par, is that what he
yeah,
said?
if you could give him 4 over par right now for the 4 days, he feels like he's going to be in contention to win it. I was like, goodness gracious.
That's the second hottest player in the world right now saying that.
Yeah, saying that he wants 4 over. Jesus.
Ridiculous.
And then just another, I know I sent this video. I'm sure if anybody listening, if you've watched it before or if you've been keeping up with it, on number one, where the guy was 122 yards out and he putts it and
Oh
puts
yeah,
it
they've
pin
been doing
high.
it from the 150. And I was wondering, like, why are they doing that? Are they just doing it to like be doing it? I read somewhere where the last time it was here was 2016, and they said it didn't. It was kind of wet, so it didn't play like that. But they said in 2007 that like holes like 1 and 3 were almost like it was impossible to hit your second shot on the green. It could
That's
not hold it.
crazy.
And so like that makes me think that like they were legit like trying, because if it
Yeah.
plays firm at all, they were like thinking this might be the only way to get a ball on the green because they can't fly it onto it and it's going to hold it. That's crazy.
That's
I hope I
crazy.
see a putter from 150.
Me too.
Well, you're talking about the weather holding it. Let's talk a little bit about the weather. The weather's going to be key. So everything that I'm seeing, I'm going to let you all add anything that you not seeing that I may be seeing or whatever it is. But Thursday, it looks like it's going to be the best day for them. It's going to be good weather. Friday, there is a chance of afternoon showers from what I've seen, and then for the weekend, unfortunately, they said that there's possibility of heavy rain and lightning for both Saturday and Sunday, which could cause a little bit of delays. If that is the case, if this course softens up a little bit, what does that do to this? Does it make it harder because that rain's going to be beaten down on that thick? Or is it going to help those greens be held up? Is that gonna overcompromise the thick, like what being able to hit those approach shots into the? Because ultimately, what you got to do here, we've not even talked about this. You got to hit fairways here. If you don't hit fairways, you are in the outhouse. So weather is key. Colton, why is the weather key here?
Yeah, no, if it rains, I think it becomes a lot easier. I just do because here's the thing: the rough, yes, a wet, thick rough is going to be miserable, but it's miserable regardless. So like, it's not like they're so. But what it does change is when you're in the fairway hitting an approach shot, and what it does change is when you miss the green and being right next to it, those chop outs that might run out to 12 foot or 15 foot that you're trying to get a 12, 15 foot par putt turned into a 6 to 8 footer, which is a big difference. You have to make range the percentage of making from that distance. I just think that it will play a lot. Now it could play long, I mean a little longer, and so they'll have to hit longer irons into it. But if it softens up, I mean that's their best chance of going a little lower. You give these guys soft greens where they can actually attack, and they're not. Because I mean, you think about how many of these greens they're going to be looking at, and a hole's on the left center, and they're looking straight at the right side of the green, right? Like they're just looking 20. They're looking 35 feet left of the pin. They're not even thinking of trying to attack the pin. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, let's move that into about 15 feet. I mean, it makes a big difference. And I just think, I hope it's not a washout, or I hope that it's such a washout that it turns Monday. They have to delay it, and then they finally get good weather until the point. But I don't really want to see a miserable rain the whole time.
Mm-hmm. I agree. No, I think that if the weather does what it's going to do, then it could be turned into that. I think the key is the weekend. If it's just a little bit of a shower on Friday, that's doable. But if it does heavy rain for the entire weekend, that's no bueno. All right, Mason. So if that were to happen, let's talk about a little bit of a winning score. What do you think the winning score will be this week?
If it's going to rain Saturday and Sunday, like heavy,
I
or
don't know if it's going to do that. I would just call it. What do you
what my
think?
score is?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's going to be. So, I mean, that's up to you. What do you? I would just ride and die with it.
I'm gonna say 3 under.
Okay.
My score. I think there is. I think like Colton said, it's going to play easier if they get some rain. Looks like they're going to get some rain. It's still going to be tough, obviously, but I'm gonna say 3 under is what's going to win it. I think I looked. I think the line on it is like 1 under maybe. Total. I think it was 279.5.
So you're
Was the line
going
on it?
3 under.
Yep.
I want to know how many guys are shooting under par.
4. Four
Right.
guys under par.
We'll need to remember this. So Mason's going 3 under, and 4 of those guys will be under par. Colton, winning score and how many guys?
Whatever Scotty Scheffler shoots. No. I'm going Scotty Scheffler at 6 under. And then there's going to be 4. I'm going to say 5. No, I'm going to say 5 guys total. There's going to be 1 at 4 under. There's going to be 1 at 2, and 2 at 1, or something like that, or whatever. Maybe 2 at 2, something like that. There's only going to be like 5 guys that's under, but Scotty's
Hmm.
Scotty's
6.
winning it at 6.
Bold. I'm going to go with I'm going 2 under. I think the golf gods are going to prevail on one of the days, Saturday or Sunday, to make it even harder, to make it hard that Friday, Saturday, or excuse me, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then Sunday it's going to be it'll soften up a little bit and allow some of these guys to get under par. I'm going 2 under, and I'm going to say that there is going to be one guy under par.
One
The
guy.
2 unders winning it and no one else is under.
The 2 unders winning, and there's going to be a bunch of evens. Now, that's with a little bit of rain. Okay. If, let's just say, we had a pitch perfect weekend with everything, would y'all take it
Yeah,
up a little bit?
I'd probably adjust it to 4, maybe 3.
I was gonna say 1. I think under par, not much, but I think under par is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be awesome to see, an even or an over par win it, just to see the challenge and things. But I think you're going to have one guy who's just, if all cylinders are
These guys
firing.
are still good.
Right.
I mean, these guys are still good. And there's a few
Yeah.
guys out there that
Yeah.
their putter gets a little hot. It's going to be.
Well, now let's get to our winners. Colton, we'll start with you.
All right. Before we do this,
Yes. Scotty's the most.
yeah, but let's do let's take out 4 or 5 guys because I feel like we're probably all. Are we all in agreement that we'd be looking at DeChambeau and Scotty? I feel like
I didn't have DeChambeau wrote down, but sure.
I didn't either.
I mean,
have Scotty.
He's the defending champ. How do you not got DeChambeau?
I just don't have him down.
I just feel like DeChambeau's yes, he smashes the ball, but I feel like his short game's not as good as some of these other guys, and coming out of this rough around the greens, I didn't have DeChambeau up there, but
I don't know. The U.S. Open the first U.S. Open he won, I think he won it at 5 under, and it was he won it because the rough was so crazy, but he was driving it so far past everyone else that he was able to just kind of chip it on and take his medicine.
Yeah.
And I could,
it's not because I don't think he can win. I just didn't write it down because I figured somebody else would really. I just was like, I'm going to choose somebody else. But yeah,
so we're not
Scotty
we're not, we'll say Scotty and Champ. Let's take them out. So
okay.
All right. So I am going to go with Ludwig. I just think that he's got the type of game for a U.S. Open to where he doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. He's a straight driver of the golf ball with some distance, and he's a great lag putter. His lag putting statistics are unreal. And so in this type of place, you have to be a great lag putter. So Ludwig's going to be my top guy. I also like Tyrrell Hatton.
And listen, Colton, Tyrrell Hatton better if he's liable to be I know there ain't no water, but he's a head case and he's about to lose some club. I can just see it now.
He's just one of those that in these type of things, when the conditions are tough, he's just one of those that's always up there. Look, and I Fleetwood hasn't won, but I would love to see a Fleetwood. He's just constantly up there too. He may not win it, but he's such good under conditions. But my final, my sleeper pick is probably going to be. This kind of why I'm going to go with Daniel Berger. Yeah, check me out here. He kind of hits a lower ball flight, and so it's in this type of rough, it gets on the ground fast into the fairways. The higher these ball flights go, the more time they've got to reach the rough somewhere. And he's got one of those where it's just kind of a bullet down, and more fairways you're hitting, and it's not going to be his one downfall is that he don't make a ton of putts. But this is not going to be one where you have to make a ton of birdies. So, getting his 2 putts and getting out, Daniel Berger, sleeper pick. Write it down.
All right, I'm going second tonight, so Mason doesn't take mine because I feel like he's took a lot of mine lately. My first one, when you talk about a grinder like in Tyrrell Hatton, I'm going to be picking Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry, he if you look at his 2025 season, it is really good. He just ain't finished it. I mean, like do y'all know how many top 10s he has? I didn't write it down, but I know he has to have at least
Probably 3 or 4 at
three. I
least,
was going to say
maybe.
at least 3 top 10s.
He's been up there a lot this year for sure.
But he's one of those guys who always finds a way. He grinds. Yeah, he has 4 top 10s this year. That's my first one, Shane Lowry. Also hits it well off the tee, pretty good. Doesn't bomb it, but he plays a nice little cut. And it's consistent, and that's what it is this week. If you can put it in the fairway, you give yourself chances, and that's why I'm going to go into my next pick, Colin Morikawa.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
just
a
keeps
lot of people are high on Colin.
he hits his drive so well. He hits that high cut, and I think he's ranked in the top 5 in strokes gained off the tee. That's one of the reasons why I like Colin. And his I mean, he's always been known for his iron play. I mean, he'll be a tester this week. But now for my sleeper pick, the captain himself,
No, you didn't. I had him as my sleeper.
Keegan Bradley.
I love it. I love it.
Talk about another guy who is built for a U.S. Open. Can we make it any more iconic and dramatic that the U.S. captain goes out and wins the U.S. Open and puts himself in
The Ryder Cup team.
the Ryder Cup?
Yes.
I mean, I think that this is where legends are made. And Keegan also, he's just one of those guys. He has a really, really, a lot of people talk about Scotty's mental game. I feel like Keegan's up there too. Has a really good mindset. He's an older guy, but he's still competes at a high level. Yeah, he's a grinder. I mean,
that's what you're gonna need.
And he loves the game. Loves the game.
Love the game. Shout out Jersey Joe. See, Mike.
But that's right. But those are my 3: Shane Lowry, Colin Morikawa, and Keegan Bradley. Mason, what you got? You got just probably because I picked one. Hopefully,
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with my first one. I'm gonna go with John Rahm. Rahm. I feel like he had a little bit of a weird start to, the Live Tour whenever he kind of moved over there, and things weren't really going well. But I feel like he started to kind of find his groove again, get back in that groove. He drives the ball really well. He's pretty long. And I saw a stat earlier that he hasn't finished outside of the top 12 in the U.S. Open since 2018. So he usually plays good in these tournaments. So John Rahm's my first pick. Second pick, a little bit of a sleeper here, but he's been playing well this year as well. Great ball striker. I think that's going to be key coming into the greens, making sure that you're not getting yourself some of these tough up and downs in that thick rough. I'm going to go with Sepp Straka. I think he's been playing really well. Could be a little bit of a sleeper pick. I think he's around 4,500 or 5,000 or something, so nowhere near a favorite. And then the last one, it was going to be Keegan Bradley. He's been playing pretty well this year. I think he has a couple top 10s recently. I think he was top 10 at the PGA and then the Memorial as well. But I'm going to go with, and I don't really see a whole lot of people talking about him. But just he's a magician sometimes. I'm going to go with Spieth. If he can just hit fairways, Spieth has the ability in his short game to be able to get out of some of those situations. He's kind of a grinder anyways. That's what his game is, and this is going to be a grinded out tournament. So I think if Spieth can just be decently consistent off the tee, I know he hasn't been, but if he can be decently consistent off the tee, he's a grinder. I could see him, maybe not winning it, but I could see him being up there, and hanging around. So those are my 3 that I got for the weekend.
all right, we'll see who will prevail in this week's U.S. Open. It's going to be exciting. All right, let's get to our last little topic tonight. Our last topic is going to be a hypothetical situation. So here are our 3 hypotheticals. Number 1 is a hole-in-one to win a Ryder Cup match. Now, do we want to change this into
this
like the
isn't
whole?
no, this isn't the win. This is well, I mean, you could say your win, sure. If you want to say your match wins it for the Ryder Cup, yeah,
I would
add
say
it,
that because the
add it,
other two. Okay,
add it.
so you hit a hole in one to win a Ryder Cup match, which will lead your team into winning the Ryder Cup. Okay. The second one is hitting a game-winning 3 to win a college national championship. And the third one is hitting a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs down by 3 in Game 7 of a World Series. Mason, which one of these 3 would you select?
So this was tough for me. Obviously being a basketball player, I mean, that would be, let's just say I'm playing for the University of Kentucky. I bring home a national championship back to the state of Kentucky. Ryder
Forever
Cup,
loved.
oh man, I'd be a legend, The Ryder Cup, you'd also be a legend. Never had a
American
hole in
legend.
one. Exactly. Never had a hole in one.
No.
Doing it on that stage and the emotions and everybody, Grand Slam, I played baseball growing up too. The World Series is, they call it America's pastime, baseball, so it's a tough one. But I think I gotta go with my first true love, basketball. It was really tough. Ryder Cup was up there too. I'd say Grand Slam would be last. They'd all be awesome, but I think I gotta go with my first true love. I'm at the University of Kentucky. I bring us home number 9. I hit that 3-point. I'd be everywhere I go in the state of Kentucky for the rest of my life. You're gonna be like, there's that man, Mason freaking Rowland.
Mason Dale Rowland.
That's right.
Dale.
Dale.
What's that song they play at the end of the national championship? What's the song that they
the
play?
One Shining Moment.
Shining moment.
Yeah, they're going like one shining
moment.
But
Cash.
well, I'm gonna go ahead and go because
Chris
I'm not gonna
Jenkins.
change it up because I literally wrote down can't go away from my first love. Literally wrote that down. So I feel like I'm on the same as Mason. Basketball was my first love. I also was imagining if I do this, I'm going to be doing it in a Kentucky jersey.
That's right.
I can't go away from that. Like, don't get me wrong, hole in one, Ryder Cup, USA, USA. Like, that would be awesome.
Man.
But I just can't, like, basketball.
America.
I mean, before golf was basketball, and, that was what, that was a love. So, Grand Slam, that would be dead last. So, but go ahead, Colton. End it for us tonight.
Man, this one was tough. Obviously, I had the basketball last, so I knew that y'all would probably choose that one, but I wasn't sure. I thought that y'all might go Ryder Cup. I really did. I didn't think y'all would probably choose the Grand Slam, but man, this one's tough because I said the way I look at it is the Ryder Cup, the hole in one would be, I mean, iconic. And you're talking about, yes, USA chance forever. But at the same time, like I sit there and think to myself, like, if I lost the match, or what if I was a player that didn't even play most of the Ryder Cup and then I just happened to play in the singles? Like, it would be iconic for a while. But eventually, 2 years from now, it's another one. And I sit there and think to myself, a World Series, you may have never win a World Series, but Ryder Cup happens every 2 years. These guys are playing in it multiple times. So I think I would go with a Grand Slam. I just imagine, and then, I mean, 60, 80,000 fans if I'm playing for the Braves. And, I mean, it's a thing that when you're a kid, you toss the ball up to yourself and you're like, this is the moment. Like, you put yourself in that situation. And the thing is, when you hit it, you get to run the bases and all eyes are on you while you make that trip. Like, everything is all about you. The thing about the hole in one is, like, you got to walk to the hole, and it's not like people are like, if people could dogpile you or something, it might be more iconic, but just everyone.
The celebration would be iconic after the Ryder Cup.
But I mean, if you could allow the fans to join in on the celebration of the hole in one, Like
Yeah.
everyone like come and you gather around kind of like Tigers walk down 18 at the tour championship. Like it becomes that type of crowd. But I think I'd have to go with a Grand Slam. Like I couldn't imagine
Yeah.
like getting to run the bases, knowing that I
None are
just
bad
won.
choices.
No,
No,
I mean
no.
yeah, every one of them makes you a legend in any sport for years to come. It is what it is. But man, and they're all dream feelings.
Oh, yeah.
Man, the one shining morning.
I know it.
Legend.
I just think of us, like, anytime I think of a last second shot, I immediately go back to Brescia watching Villanova.
Chris
Oh yeah,
Jenkins? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean
Chris
that's
Jenkins
ideal,
against North Carolina. Like, we were like, what? Let's
right?
go.
And here's the thing,
Yes.
and that's the thing. Think about it. We're still talking about it. And where's Chris Jenkins? Right,
But
doing
Kentucky
taxes.
basketball is different than Villanova. I'd probably never have to pay
Right,
for
but
a
that's
meal
but
at.
what I'm saying is like, he might be doing taxes somewhere, but we're still talking about him because of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
I probably never have to pay for a meal again in the state of Kentucky as long as they're
Oh no,
not
for
Louisville fans.
sure.
Mason would like have
Oh,
a
wow.
card that literally says national shit, like
That is the only
Mason
thing is like the pride you would have. But now outside of Kentucky fans, like no one would ever care. Like no one.
Yeah.
Best
Like,
fan base in
Whereas like
in
the Ryder
sports.
Cup, I guess technically you could have all of America.
That's true.
Well, fellas, it's been a good one. We
Yeah.
appreciate y'all who are listening. As always, go Cats.
Go
Okay.
Cats.
That's a wrap for this episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, be on the lookout for our social media pages and be sure to follow them. We've got plenty more stories, insights, and conversations coming your way. And if you really loved it, make sure to share it with a friend. From the hills to the hollers, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep that Kentucky spirit strong.